Great, we're back with our second episode of the podcast. And this second episode of our podcast, Art Active, which is being hosted by Carlos, which is me, and Joel, who is on the other side. We're having a long distance call, France versus Spain. And this one will be more focused on something we like to call reflection section. Reflection section is more of a part where we just have a more chill conversation about our lives, and we kind of compare the advice that we've given in the previous episode, so we can give more practical examples to people's life, because I think that our last episode was a bit poor in specific cases, and I don't know about you, but when I think about myself and probably a big chunk of mankind, I'm quite of an inductive person, and that means that to understand things better, I need more concrete examples, because when I have many concrete examples, then I can compare and kind of create, talking about being creative, kind of create a general rule, so I can understand that thing better. So let's get into that. Joel, when do you think in your life you were feeling the most creative?
I think the time I've been the most creative was while I was taking the shower,
Okay.
just listening to a song that was called Elevator Music or something like that. I just looked that up on YouTube. A friend of mine showed me, okay, so don't just give a shit on that.
Finding elevator music.
So I just happened to stumble upon a friend of mine who just suggested me put some music on, when he was on the bathroom or something silly. So when he was on the background, I would just listen to that music, and I was like, "What was that? That's really, I dig it. That's really awesome." so he told me just look up elevator music. So that's what I've been using to this day in order to take a shower.
Yeah, that's what's cool these days. Elevator music. I like it. For shower, that's important. Human music. Yeah, but showers, yeah, I mean, there's something magical about showers. They are, I mean, you can, okay, when it comes to having ideas, if you have like a cool, refreshing shower, you force yourself to be disconnected from any other activity. So you have your mind in a neutral state. And from that point, you can start to come up with ideas. I think Elon Musk said that he's had the most important ideas of his life in the shower. I mean, I heard something like that. I'm just using him as an authority argument because if Elon Musk says it, then it's you should follow that advice. No, but yeah, and also we can mention it, but when you have a long walk, or it doesn't have to be long, but a short walk, just walking around, changing your mind and putting it into a different state of seeing different things and looking at your environment, you start a mental dialogue that can flow and can end up in many different things. I'd say in my own case, where I've had the most interesting ideas was when I was having a walk. And yeah, but because in my own case, since I was very little, since I was like a toddler, since I was like 5, I didn't like to play football like the other kids. My way of playing was just me walking around and imagining situations and letting my mind wander. So probably it comes from that. But yeah, I remember just going from one part of the corridor to the other one and having that mental chatter with myself, creating my own story. And I think that can be that has evolved to the person I am today. Aristotle, actually, I think it was Aristotle, used to give his philosophy lessons by walking. So he would go to the gardens with his students and peripatetics, I think they're called, and he used to explain philosophy concepts while they walk, and I think that's something pretty interesting, because I feel like when I walk, my ideas pump more. more fluidly. What about you?
You'd be surprised, and it's very comical since and now you made me think about it. So another situation in which I've been really thoughtful or really creative about something
Yep.
when I was taking road trips alone. So I got my car, and then with no my phone was there, but it was disconnected and no music or no not anything, just focusing on the road. I just went like off totally off the rails. So I just got my car, went traveling around. I had no idea when I will end up where I will end up. So that was so soothing. I just got my car. I just get doesn't matter where the car gets me eventually. I one day I got into a car trip or a road trip that I couldn't believe it. So in those moments, it really made me think about a couple things. I think that that's the modern walk example, provided that people do not walk anymore. So I was having my road trips, and that was another way in which I was being more, I was going with the flow in a way. I was working and then I was taking a road trip. So I was kind of respecting that balance that makes creativity possible.
Actually, yesterday I took my bike and went to the forest. I took my bike and went to the forest, and I but I think I did not get creative. My goal was to get creative, with this podcast and more stuff in my life going on. But I think I did not get creative because I was in the forest and I was scared of spotting a wild animal or something that will attack me. So I was more in a fight or flight mode the whole time. I should train myself to be more chill in the forest. But then I can understand when I've been traveling solo, I've you're exposed to a whole new environment and you're in a mode of adapting yourself to a new situation, and that makes your mind flow and have a lot of ideas. So I've had really important ideas in my life while traveling. And also that's why I like long distance buses. A lot of people hate them, but long distance buses for me are the perfect opportunity to sit and reflect about whatever you need to reflect about, because you have all this landscape changing the whole time, and it's only you and your thoughts. And well, you can have a source of entertainment, but in reality, I think that'll be only filling a void. So I think, yeah, long distance buses are a good example. What about you? Do you have any other example in your own life?
Yeah, I'll give another example. You know what is really
You
cool about
mentioned
this?
sports before.
No, it's not sports. It's so we're so similar, but at the same time we're so different. You were commenting on the fact that you enjoy long rides. I had to try it as well, of course, because you get to kind of uh, see nature or see different landscapes. I actually found out that when I'm on a plane, on a long distance plane, like 9, 12 hours, something, I'm more of an introverted socially. I'm more socially introverted than you are. So out of boredom myself, I just naturally strand up conversations with kind of strangers and kind of make friendships in that situation. So in my case, that kind of helps me socialize, and socializing spikes up my creativity like wonders. So it has the opposite effect on me that it has on you. So that then I talk to people, but then I get off those people, and when I'm alone, I think I'm really chill and I'm really satisfied with all that. That's my
Yes,
2 cents regarding
socializing
that.
is a pretty important one. Yeah, like when you've been, and even more important, if you've been closed in your room for a long period of time, for a day or many days, seeing a friend that you connect with and having an interesting talk, that sparks you up and gets your mind flowing again. Or not even a friend, but just going out and meet new people. You get into, I mean, we're social beings, we're social creatures, and talking to new people, it always gives you some energy, I think. And I don't believe into that difference of in introverted and extroverted. I think there's just some people that give you some energy and people that get energy from you. Because if I like the person, socializing gives me energy, and if I don't, I just want to get out from there. But in general, yeah, socializing is a good source of energy because you use mental energy socializing, but at the same time you get sparked up. So I mean, I think that will bring to a longer conversation. So we're not gonna get into that today, but yeah, it's something. But yeah, it's something pretty fascinating. Okay, then, and do you have any other example to finish, and then I skip to I go to the next part. Okay, great. So then I'll go to for the next part, which is um well, actually that was kind of the last part. What I was going to introduce right now was in a skill that you've wanted to develop. How did you apply the advice that we've given in the previous episode? Because just to give you an example, for example, I play the ukulele, as you know already. And so I felt like when I started to learn to play it, I didn't know anything about music, like shit. I mean, I played the flute when I was in primary school, but that was pretty much it. So I just took the instrument.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so I just took the instrument and I took the instrument and I just watched for YouTube videos.
Go
Come
ahead.
on, man, it's not that funny. Everyone plays the fucking flute when they're in primary school.
It's yeah, but it's so funny because I imagine like a 9-year-old you, like when you were in your communion day or something, you were taking the flute out and just playing around with it. Let's leave it at that for now.
Yeah, so I just took YouTube and I looked for some videos how to play the songs that I liked. I started with the easy songs and with the chords that were easier for me, and then with songs that they had more difficult chords for me to reproduce with the fingers, or with a more difficult strumming pattern or percussion pattern. And that was it with the time. And then with the time, I started to see patterns with chords, and even though I don't know about music theory, I know which chords sound good with other chords. So I just combine them, and combining it with strumming patterns I've also learned from different songs. I'm making new songs myself, or I'm even making new strumming pattern or discovering new chords, experimenting. Yes, applying rules of how to make chords from chords that I already know to new ones. So that would be an example for me. Just learning random stuff without even any theory. Just from total deduction, I could get to create a new song on an instrument. And I found that's pretty cool. What about you? In which skill you felt that you've developed your creativity?
You're gonna be disappointed on this one, dude. It's all about
You there?
being a little bit more strict on sleeping. Yes, of course. There's a yes, sure, Carlos. So it's a little bit more on the sleeping schedule in my case. Just a little bit more strict. Like try not to overforce it so it doesn't backfire on my face. But it's about being a little bit
Okay.
more disciplined regarding. Okay, so you get to stop. You gotta just turn off all your electronics at 9, so that you can get to sleep at 11 or so. I'm getting there little by little. So this is my quest. My focus is okay. We sleep a third of our daily hours. So if we can sleep a little bit better, maybe that effect will compound on the creativity. and maybe I'll have better mood. I'll be more, in consequence, I'll be more socially apt, or more adaptive to
You love the
stimuli.
sleep topic, don't you? Okay. So what do you have to say about sleeping?
No, no, nothing really. I mean, it was just that. That's why I said you
Yeah, I
would be
mean,
disappointed.
what do you have to say about sleeping, and how it affects creativity?
I was living. That's it. That's it. I mean, there's not much more that can be said at this stage, and we will expand on that in the future, and we will kind of narrate it.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I mean, days where I had no sleep, I feel less effective in problem solving. For example, I study physics, and if I had to
Okay.
go to an exam without sleeping, I couldn't be able to do a shit because if I went without sleeping, I would only be able to do some mechanical work, something that I've done before, and I do it in autopilot mode. But just as my exams are, where I have to do a new problem that I have never seen before, I have to push myself forward and think about more creatively and to combine all the knowledge that I've summed up studying that subject. So if I went without sleeping, I it would be probably horrible. Like that's why I never take a whole night of no sleep for an exam. I always, even though if I know that I'm not going to pass the exam, I don't care. I think my sleep is much more important. So I'll have time to do another exam in the future. But I try to organize myself so that I don't get to that extreme point.
It kind of sounds like when your mom says something like "eat your veggies" or something like that, and you gotta eat the fucking vegetables so that you can get off the table.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, she was right. You have to eat your veggies.
Yeah, well, that's true. I'll give her that. In my case, for example, Carlos, I'm very sensitive to sleep deprivation. So let me expand on that a little bit more, and then we'll close this topic. So if I don't get my 8 or 9 solid on a night, I mean, it affects my mood a lot. And for example, when I'm trying to solve a problem, I get frustrated much more quickly. And as we know that solutions, when we think about solution of a problem, the solution is a nonlinear process because it doesn't come in a series of steps when you try to do something creative, right? When something hits you, you don't know when it hits you. So you need to be prepared
Okay.
to endure. And to be ready to endure, you gotta sleep well, you gotta nourish your body well as well. And you gotta do podcasts like this so that you can become a little bit more I don't know, for me making this podcast, for example, makes me feel a little bit more open to the outside world. So it actually helps me a lot as well.
Yeah, so yeah, that's right. And yeah, I mean, sleep deprived. To summarize this part of the podcast, sleep your 8 hours. Don't not sleep. I don't know how to put it into words, but yeah, just sleep. It's gonna be good for you. And and I would just like to give this last part of the podcast to the fact of facing resistance. For example, I used to go to Toastmasters, which is a public speaking. It's a public speaking club where you train your public speaking skills and you have to do speeches. So I remember scheduling a speech for myself. Like in that meeting, I have to do a speech, and I remember that I would keep it to the to the last day or to previous days, and I remember knowing that I had to do a speech and facing a blank paper and staring at it and having no idea. I'm being nervous because I have to deliver it for the next day, and I remember that it was hard to sit and write it. But after some time staring at blank paper, an idea will come up, and I write it, and then that idea would lead to another idea, and that other idea to another idea, and eventually I would end up writing a script for that speech. And the lesson here is that, and I mean, and also after some creativity moments where I had this flow of ideas, then it will stop, and I had to stare at the blank paper again with a speech and finish, and I have to find a ways how to finish. And then I would go through the same process periodically till I finish my speech. And the lesson here is that you get a seat. Well, also learn from me. Don't leave your things for the last day. Don't procrastinate that much. But the lesson here is that you have to be able to face that resistance. And even though you feel like there are no ideas coming out from your mind, that you're not that creative, if you push yourself and you ask yourself the right questions, like, okay, what do I want to communicate really? Okay, I want to communicate this. Okay, but why? And then you get to the core of things, and like that you start answering the right questions. Then you're able to write a good speech. So you have to do that mental effort to get this. Anything to conclude, Joe?
Yeah, that this morning I didn't feel like doing this podcast at all. And even as let my head solid, I was a little bit groggy this morning. So I gotta thank you. I gotta give you kudos to you again for that. Because if it wasn't for this podcast, probably my day wouldn't be as much productive. So just get started with something that you don't feel like it. Let's say stay 25 minutes doing it. I dare you to stay 25 minutes doing what are you doing.
Okay.
And most likely you will feel the flow and you will keep doing that pretty much effortlessly. So just get started. That would be my advice on this.
I mean, yeah, that's the best advice for anything. But yeah, that's right. That's a totally right statement. And yeah, I didn't feel like doing this podcast either. Like, I actually had a really bad night of sleep. I had many nightmares. Like I dreamt that my house was haunted, and I had to escape from some ghosts. And then, like, dude, it was horrible. I had like 2 nightmares in a row. One that my house was haunted, and I had to escape from there. And the other one, it was that I was left alone in a peninsula with a lot of snakes, and there was some scholar bass there. And I asked them if I can leave the peninsula with them, because the snakes were going to appear at night and they're going to be there. But they didn't. But the teacher didn't want to, because the teacher didn't like me or whatever, because we had that discussion before. I don't know. It was pretty weird. But yeah, like having a bad night is well solved with doing something productive that you like this podcast. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's probably what reflection section would look like. We ourselves talking about our lives. And if you like this stuff and you want more of this, just subscribe to a YouTube channel, which is the only platform that we're releasing the podcast by now. And stay tuned. It's been a pleasure to do this podcast with you, Joe, as always, and see you in the next one.
Of course, if you want us to talk about a specific topic, please give support to the podcast with a like button and put your comment down below. We'll just read all the comments. So you're most welcome. And it's been a pleasure, of course. It's been a pleasure to enjoy your company today. And I think this podcast really did wonders to my mood this morning. So let's be thankful for that as well. That said, I'll see you guys later in the next episode. So peace out.